Well, good morning. Well, thanks for that lovely introduction. You already know a little bit about me. But something you may not know is I'm also currently officially 1,000 to 1 to play the next James Bond. 003.5, right? Now, I am sensing that some of you may not be taking this as seriously as I am, so let me explain. A while ago, I saw a list of odds of people who could potentially become the next James Bond. And all the hot favourites were on there. Idris Elba, Tom Hiddleston. There are a few other interesting names there as well. David Beckham, 250 to 1. Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe, 500 to 1. So it got me thinking, if Harry Potter could be considered to be the next James Bond, then maybe I could be too. So after a series of bizarre correspondence with William Hill, now they're one of the world's largest bookmakers, gambling agencies, I actually received this email. Hi Matt, I'm pleased to say we can offer you 1,000 to 1, maximum £10. Bear in mind, see, they're already worried, they're minimising their losses for when it happens. For you, Matt Hale, to replace Daniel Craig as James Bond in a broccoli film. Now let me clarify, broccoli refers to the Broccoli family who produced the Bond movies, not some highly niche vegetable-based spin-off. Like Fry Another Day, License to Grill, A View to a Kale. Yeah, okay, I could go on, but I think it's best for all of us that I don't. Now, I found this amazing because this same betting agency, just 3 years ago, had actually listed Leicester City Football Club. Now, they're a team in the English Premier League, one of the world's biggest football leagues. They listed them as 5,000 to 1 to win the English Premier League, 5,000 to 1. So this means they reckon I'm at least 5 times more likely to become the next James Bond as Leicester were to win the English Premier League. And if you don't know where this is going already, that season, Leicester City won the English Premier League. The name's Hale, Matt Hale. Let's not rule that out just yet. But look, you're probably thinking, what has this got to do with what I'm here to talk about today, which is the power of probably? Well, the power of probably is a concept that I accidentally discovered as the result of being asked the same question in many media interviews, and that was a question which went along the lines of like, so Matt, how did you become a stage hypnotist? And I would answer something like, I saw someone doing it, I thought, that looks like a lot of fun. I could probably do that. So I set out to find out how and if it was possible. Now, this answer didn't really seem to resonate with most people. In fact, it generally seemed to surprise them. It got me thinking that maybe most people don't approach things that seem to be out of reach the same way as I do. In fact, it almost seemed that most people kind of look at things that appear to be out of reach and think, oh, I wish I could do that. It's almost like there's another little voice in the back of their mind saying, obviously I probably can't. So I've kind of realised that maybe the strange experiences, twists and turns I've had across the years could be because I've tended to look at things and thought, there's someone doing that thing, so therefore it can be done. I reckon I could probably do that. Now, yes, I have proved myself wrong plenty of times. But can you see, by being on this side of probably, you have far more wins. I've ended up doing things that for a lot of people would have looked at and then not even tried. And in fact, the only way you win when you think you probably can't do something is when you somehow still end up attempting that thing and then proving yourself wrong. I'm going to assume that you're probably still following me at this point. Now, I think the key to embracing this way of thinking, though, is being willing to entertain the chance of failure. I've seen so many presentations that impart the idea that you should fully believe in yourself, 100% commit to that idea's success and winning. Banish any thought from your mind of not achieving that goal. I actually find that quite daunting. Because what happens when you do everything in your power you can, when that full belief of success, yet something along the way, whether in your control or not, means it just simply doesn't work out? And that's got to be crushing. So I say, let's build a little wiggle room in. I mean, it's probably going to be fine, right? And if not, we'll deal with it. Know that when you entertain the chance of failure, you remove its power. When you entertain the chance of failure, you remove its power. And when you fail, you learn things along the way. There's some little mini successes. Other opportunities pop up. When I was a kid, I was lucky enough that my parents surrounded me with music at home. It got me thinking and dreaming about being in a band. And at some point, I started thinking, lead singing in a band, that would be good. Eventually, I started thinking, I could probably do that. Turns out I'm not very good at singing in tune. It's all right. Next best thing, lead guitarist. Oh yeah, everyone loves the lead guitarist, right? Great, what do I need? Okay, guitar lessons, guitar. So I found a guitar teacher. I actually also happened to be in a band. I started taking lessons. Tell you what, it turns out it's a lot harder than it looks, right? You've got to coordinate fingers and strings and notes and frets, all sorts of things. For me, it just didn't really seem to flow. Now, around that same time, DJing and mixing with decks and vinyl, it's proper old school, had just started to become popular. So I think, what's next? Hey, I can probably do that. So, I was actually still at school, so I started saving some money, finally got some secondhand equipment, got some music, really started getting into it. In fact, I absolutely loved it. Now, my frustrated guitar teacher started to take notice. And he asked me if I'd like to perform a DJ set before his band came on at one of their gigs. Now, obviously, I jumped at that opportunity. And that was my first ever appearance as a DJ in public at the age of 15 and led me on to my first full-time career, DJing around the world into my mid-20s. And look, when you implement this way of thinking, your mind starts working with you. When you believe you can probably do something, that goal, that achievement, that thing becomes a lot more top of mind. You see yourself doing it. Sounds realistic. You think about it a lot more. So as opportunities flow by you, like they flow by all of us all the time, your mind is much more likely to recognize those opportunities that can propel you towards that goal and pluck them out and use them. Don't believe me? Let me take you to the car park. I mean, not literally, that'd be really weird, wouldn't it? Look, I've got some friends who believe I'm either consistently the luckiest person in the car park or there's some kind of god of car parking watching over me. Now, science would suggest otherwise, so let's have a look at what's actually happening. I drive into a car park, busiest time, busiest day. I'm still thinking, I can probably get a car parking space. People are still got to be leaving. A friend of mine does the same thing, busiest time, busiest day, but he's thinking, oh, great, look how busy it is. I'll never get a spot. So suddenly his mind is already on having to drive out that building, maybe park on the street, where's next, where could possibly be free. He's driving quicker, not really taking notice of everything else. So for me, as I'm driving slower, car pulls out. He would have been too quick for that one. I'm watching people walking. Are they coming? Are they going? Someone pops out the elevator. They're reaching for their keys. Okay, they're leaving. Now those chances were still there for my friend, but with my expectations, my mind was much more aware of those opportunities. Well, it's either that or there's a god of car parking and I'm the chosen one. Now, look, obviously, I'm not the only one who does think like this, and for other people, that will also become a natural way of thinking. But don't worry if you're not in that group, because it's just a pattern of thinking that your mind gets used to. And our minds love patterns. Generally, we do something a number of times, or react to something a number of times in a certain way, that eventually the back of our mind, our subconscious mind, suddenly goes, all right, mate, I got this. I'll take over from this point forward. You don't even have to think about it. I'll run that pattern for you. If you remember when you learned to drive, at first you concentrated on every little movement, how much pressure to put on the pedal, when to look in the mirror, when to turn the indicator on. But at some point you did it so many times so well, the back of your mind came in and went, all right, mate, I got this. I'll take over from this point forward. I'll run that driving pattern for you. You don't even have to think about it. Which is why sometimes you can actually get in a car, drive somewhere, get there and think, how did I get here safely? Don't really remember doing that journey. It happens by accident as well. If as a kid in your house a spider popped up And one of your parents started reacting each time, quick, get away, you can stay away, it's a spider, oh my God. Or it wouldn't take too many times for that to happen before the back of your mind kicks in and goes, all right, mate, I got this one. Every time there's a spider, freak out. So let's create our new pattern of thinking towards the things we'd like to achieve. Force yourself to think, yeah, I can probably do that. After a number of the times, the back of your mind, all right, mate, I got this. That's our default response now. Now, let me take you back to the beginning. A few weeks ago, I received a phone call asking me if I'd like to talk at today's event. And while it was a little daunting, I did think, yeah, I can probably do that. And do you know what? I think I just did, right? But if you remember, I'd also seen this list of odds way before that of who could be considered to be the next James Bond. And I'd wondered if I too could be considered. Now, while today I'll put my hands up and I'll concede that I'll probably not actually end up on screen as the next James Bond, but that journey has provided me with the opportunity to fill half of today's presentation. It's another mini success. But if after all of this, you're still sat there thinking, yeah, Matt, that's great. I mean, that's wonderful. Sounds fantastic. But I'm just not that kind of person. Stop. How about you start to think, I'm probably the kind of person who can become the kind of person who thinks, I can probably do that. Thank you very much.